we want to start with just a little bit of background about what is the PT Compact. Obviously, when we first started having presentations about the Compact back in 2016, 2017, there's a lot of blank faces out in the audience because very few people really knew anything about the Compact. I'm pleased to say that now in 2024, pretty much everyone has heard about the Compact, and it's really just giving that little bit of extra information about really what is the Compact, and then I'll turn it over to our two committee representatives. But obviously, the Compact really is just an agreement between states to allow for license portability, and it was really done as a response to the need for mobility and portability in the profession of physical therapy. So, license issued by a state board, compact privilege issued by the PT Compact Commission. The important thing is a compact privilege is the legal equivalent of a license. So if somebody has a compact privilege in a jurisdiction, they have all of the same rights and responsibilities and obligations as somebody that has a license issued by the state PT board in that same jurisdiction. Some of the benefits for PTs and PTAs is the Compact allows for a much more rapid authorization to practice. So in the traditional licensure application process, it can sometimes take a few weeks for somebody to get licensed. That doesn't mean that the staff of that state board are inefficient at what they do. It's typically that there's a lot of external documentation that a board needs to receive before they can go ahead and issue the license. For the Compact, we determine eligibility based upon the information that is in the ELDD, and we can know at the time the person logs in to purchase the compact privilege if they have met all of the eligibility requirements, so we can issue the compact privilege immediately. Second benefit for licensees is they only need to track one set of continuing education requirements. So they have to do the CE for their home state. They are not required to complete continuing education for the states in which they hold a compact privilege. And then finally, and much like Susan, my phone is ringing right now. I don't know why. Even though my phone's on the desk, I'm feeling it on my wrist. You only need to track one expiration date. So that is one of the biggest benefits, in my opinion, that every compact privilege has the same expiration date as the individual's home state license. So when I was the director of the board in Ohio, we had a lot of licensees down in the Cincinnati area that had to be licensed in Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana. And of course, all three states had different expiration dates. So if you're a licensee, you need to remember, oh, my Kentucky license expires on March 31st, my Ohio license expires on January 31st. What are the different CE cycles? With the compact, if I live in Ohio, I can get a compact privilege in Indiana and Kentucky. All I have to remember is, when is my Ohio license up for renewal, and what CE do I need to do to renew my Ohio license? So it should be a lot easier for licensees. But we also really want to focus on what are the kinds of educational things that the Compact Commission does. So I'm going to start a little bit with what is being done by the executive board. And I see we have at least one member of the executive board in here. So Corey, why don't you wave your hand? Corey is one of our members at large on the executive board. So basically, the executive board liaison, similar, if many of you may be familiar with the board liaison role from FSBPT to your jurisdiction, we modeled that for the Compact Commission. So each of the members of the executive board, they are the liaison to a handful of compact states, and they even are liaisons to some non-member states because we wanted to have some connection. So a state that may be interested in joining the compact, we already have a board member that is assigned to that jurisdiction. So they really serve as that bridge between the board and the member jurisdiction. And they're there to basically, any concerns that a member state may have about the compact, they can share those with their respective board liaison, and that board liaison can share that information with the full board at one of our monthly executive board meetings. Because really the goal is all 30, right now I think we're at 39 member states, this is a collaborative process, and we want to make sure that the voices of all 39 member jurisdictions are heard, and that is partly why we have established this liaison program. So really, we just want people to know that this exists, and if you happen to be from a member state, these are the members of the board, and these are the states that they serve as liaisons to. So if anyone is interested, you can take a picture or reach out to me. Everyone should know how to contact me, but really, they're here to be the resource for you. And so if you happen to be a administrator, chair, or compact delegate for any of the member states, you should have received an email from your executive board liaison last week introducing themselves. And this is really the first initial efforts that we're doing on behalf of the board to have this kind of outreach. And you should start seeing much more regular outreach from your respective board liaison. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Susan, who's going to talk a little bit about the work of the PT Compact Compliance Committee.
Okay. Good morning. I guess I need to stand right here so you can hear me, although I'm pretty loud. Is this on?
Yes.
It is? Okay, very good. I am Susan Guile. I am with the Kansas State Board of Healing Arts, and we are a compact state, but we are not yet issuing compact privileges. We are, like maybe some of you, I'm not sure who all is in here, we are waiting on the FBI right now to approve our ability to do fingerprint backgrounds. So that's super fun. We're loving it. So, am I on the right slide? So the charge of the Compact Compliance Committee is to ensure that the member states comply with the requirements of the PT Compact. The committee's role, and we'll talk more about this later, is not to punish states, but to help them achieve the compliance, through education and support. The PT Compact sends quarterly reports to states highlighting the areas of noncompliance and also, frankly, highlighting the areas of compliance. And then providing guidance on how to address those areas of noncompliance. The committee also works on educational initiatives during their quarterly meetings to help states understand and implement the Compact's statutes effectively. So again, I want to talk about, the Compliance Committee talks about where states fall short. And part of what we talk about a lot is, is this a one-time thing? We look at their past performance. Have they been compliant for the last year, and then this quarter they fell short? Did they fall short? The benchmark is 90%. Did they hit 85, or did they hit 0? So was it just a little bit? And for some of these, and I'll talk a little bit more about Kansas specifically here in a little bit, sometimes there might only be 2. And so did you get 50% because you were compliant on 1, or did you have 100 and you were only compliant on 50? So we look at things like that. So like really, what are we dealing with, and why were they non-compliant? So these are the things that we'll be talking about. So this is the email that we get. Sorry, I'm not tech savvy. I'm old school, and I got paper. So this email is really helpful. I don't know if any of you in the room receive these, but this is my actual email that I got. What's the date on that? July. So this is my July. Oh, it's right here. Right here in front of me. This is my July email. So this is what I get, and as you can see, it talks about, it tells me that anything we're 90% on is in green, anything else is either going to be in yellow or red. The FSBPT favorite color combo. So I take this email and I look at it, and then I always forward it to my licensing administrator because I think it's really great for them to see this. And then also I send it to my person in our general counsel department who is the one who enters these. She's the lady that, in the API email, sitting in the 1890s dress, sitting up very straight, doing the entering in that graphic. That's her. So that's what I do with this. So this was our actual quarterly compliance from the July. And as you can see, we're at 100% for our weekly data sharing because we do have, we're very good at that. We were actually in the red for our reporting of our disciplinary within 14 days. And I'll talk to you a little bit about why we were there. I love to see the green. I don't love seeing the red. But it happens, and this gets into, why are we at 50%? If you notice, well, I don't think it shows on here, but for this one, I can tell you Kansas had 2. And so we were compliant on 1, and we were non-compliant on 1. Oh, looky there. There's my green that I love to see. And we just talked about all that. Sorry, I'm not keeping up with the slides. And then we didn't have any flagged as under investigation. So, and part of that is because we are not yet active in the compact. So we are not required yet to be compliant with that particular thing. And we do use the FSBPT ID. So why aren't people 100% compliant? There's so many reasons that could be. Technology. Some people aren't using the API yet. Some people have licensure systems that just don't allow them to be compliant. We talked about that Thursday. My days are so mixed up right now. Thursday in the CBA meeting, a number of us are looking at moving to new licensure systems, and this is part of the reason that some are just not compliant. Conflicting statutes. The PT Compact statutes require us to notify and share investigative data, but many of us, myself included, have other statutes that say all of our investigative materials are confidential and shall not be shared. So these 2 statutes are in competition with each other. Most of the PT Compact statutes will say that these are superseding statutes, and so in theory, at least to my non-attorney mind, sorry, what?
No.
Okay. In my non-attorney mind, the PT Compact statute should prevail over those other statutes. But when you get into the legalese of all of this and just the normal sort of prevailing practice for many states, it causes a lot of discomfort and angst when the practice for years and years and years has been, this is investigative material, this is confidential, we don't tell anyone, and then we're saying, oh, but now we want to share this to what I think some people sort of interpret as the world. It's very uncomfortable, and we really have to do a lot of work to sort of educate and get folks to realize what is going to happen or not happen with that information once it is shared with the PT Compact, and when that information actually needs to be shared and what information actually needs to be shared. So that I think is probably one of our biggest hurdles is getting that information shared. And I've told Jeff, and I will tell you all in this room, once Kansas goes live with the compact, I'm going to be right there. I guarantee you we will be red in that section because I'm going to have a lot of conversations with my attorney people to get them to let us release that information. It's going to cause growing pains. It's going to cause angst because it's very uncomfortable. And so my point is that as the PT Compact Compliance Committee, we understand that. And so what we do is we meet with those states. Apparently I'll be meeting with myself. We meet with those states, and that's what we talk to them about is who else do we need to talk to in your state to explain this, to help educate about this. And maybe it's not just your agency, maybe there's other people that we need to help you, give you the language, help you educate about that. So lack of understanding, and that goes hand in hand, just lack of understanding what it is, what we're trying to do, and why it's important. It's very important. I will tell you guys, My board also regulates the medical doctors, and so we're part of the Interstate Medical Licensing Compact as well. We get emails from them when this state issues discipline against an MD or a DO. They send us an email. We have the ability, depending on what it is, we can take immediate action against that license. And that's so important that, we don't have to wait, have somebody issue a complaint. Now we need to do an investigation. Now we can just immediately do a summary suspension if we need to, based on that other state's action. It's so important. Sometimes it's people. Some of us are very small boards, and we have maybe one person who's uploading this information. Maybe they're on vacation. Maybe they're on maternity leave. Maybe they're out for an extended medical leave. Maybe they've left the agency and we haven't filled their position yet. And that's part of their duties that just aren't being covered until the new person is hired. So if you all are like me, that might be weeks and weeks or months and months sometimes. So sometimes it's just that, and that will impact those numbers. So again, is our role to punish? No, it is not. That's not what we want to do. That's not what we need to do. And it's not impactful. It's not helpful. Our role is to educate. So as I've just talked about, that's what we want to do. We want to come alongside. We want to be helpful. And we want to provide information. So that's where the ELDD comes in as well, and we talked about this a lot yesterday. It's so important and it's so helpful, and Jeff talked about it a little bit just a minute ago. So this shows you the active compact states that are providing the FSBPT ID, and those that are doing the weekly file sharing, and those that are entering, I don't know what that last one is, entering via the OPS?
Disciplinary action.
Disciplinary action, thank you. So as you can see of the active compact states, most are entering that way. And then those that aren't are the ones that are not yet active. So with that, I will turn back to Jeff, who is more tech savvy, and he'll talk to you about the API. Oh, sorry, don't want to hit that.
Okay, so just briefly, and I know probably everyone's heard a lot about the API over the course of the weekend, but when Susan was just talking about one of the reasons why states may not be in compliance is because of people. So the list of scenarios she described, those are real examples that we have experienced as reasons why states didn't submit their weekly licensure file, or why disciplinary action may not have been reported within the time frame. So one of the things that FSBPT has worked on over the past few years is this API. So with the API, it's a way, in essence, for two computers to speak to each other without needing a human being to actually have to manually do something on a weekly basis. So all of the board administrators in this room probably are used to, when I had to manually generate the licensure file out of our database, I had to upload it to a secure server. Angela and Stacy in the back plus Amber had to download that off the secure server. They had to process it, make sure everything looked good, get it into the ELDD, and we did that on a weekly basis. With the API, the burden that falls on not just the board staff, but also on FSBPT's database staff really gets reduced, so that as updates are happening in your system, so somebody's license is issued, somebody's expiration date is updated, that information is automatically pushed into the ELDD. We also, and this is larger than just the compact, but things like we have the ability to push exam scores into your system. So for your online licensure applications, you can just immediately have that pass the NPT flag triggered because the information was pushed into your system. But from the compact perspective, we also have the ability to push the compact privilege holder information right into your database. So we know that there are many jurisdictions right now are manually entering the compact privilege holder information into their data system. So they're using their licensure staff to actually, when they get the daily reports, keying that information in. With the API, they have the ability to just have that information immediately pushed into their system. And right now, and Angela, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's about 5 active compact states are utilizing that element of the API. So we have a lot that are utilizing the API, but 5 are actually using that piece of the API. So as Susan said, this must be one of her licensing people that is in the 18 but really, as I said, this is a very time-consuming, labor-intensive process. But with the API, it's so simplified. So if anyone is interested in learning more about the API or potentially using it, make sure you stop by Angela's table, sort of right outside of Coral Ballroom C. She's been there all week. She'll be there the rest of the day. She has information about the API. And as you probably have heard also, FSBPT has grant funding available to help member jurisdictions with projects like developing and implementing an API for their jurisdiction. So that is the quick plug for the API, and now I'm going to turn it over to Bernadine, who's going to talk about the work that the Education and Outreach Committee has done.
Let's see. All right. Okay, is my mic working? You guys can hear me? I knew that wasn't going to work. I've never been able to stand still and talk. I have to multitask. So I like to see your faces and what's going on when I talk. Same thing when I'm in the classroom with students. Again, I'm Bernadine Evans. I'm the vice chair of the Education and Outreach Committee. To my right, being just trying to be under the radar, is the actual chair of the Education and Outreach Committee, Missy. And it makes my job 100 times easier when I have somebody who knows everything and a phone call away, that I can just come up here and smile and hopefully look pretty. Those days are getting a little bit, I don't know what's happening anymore. But again, first, before I begin, I would like to take the time to acknowledge those who hail from the Hawkeye State. I mean, when you guys announced last year Iowa and corn, I wasn't, being from Washington, D.C., I didn't know what to expect. However, I have found out that people I know and respect and really look up to were born in Iowa. They married someone from Iowa. They went to school in Iowa. They have these connections. And let me tell you, you guys have done a great job of making someone who has never been to Iowa to really love and appreciate this culture. So for those of you from Iowa, thank you. All right, I'm here to discuss, however, the mission and purpose of the Education and Outreach Committee. I would like to begin with a question. If a tree falls in a forest and there is no one around to hear it, does it make a sound? Anybody who took philosophy, that's a basic question. However, we're gonna adjust it for today to be, if we have compact privileges in our jurisdiction, but no one knows about them or how they would benefit from them, do we really have compact privileges? They have to be utilized. Now, you wanna know my favorite thing about Iowa? My room, it's not the view. It's not my comfortable bed, because I've been sleeping good. It is being able to go to my room. Oh, it's not even being able to go to my room at the end of the day and not hear somebody say, "Mommy, you look tired. You really should get some rest, but I'm hungry. What's for dinner?" And they have, this is not a little kid. These are people who can look me in the eye and can cook dinner as well. So that has been a perk here. But the biggest perk when I went to the room is going to the room, and when I unpacked my bags, I pressed my clothes. They were beautiful. I made the trip here. I opened my bag, and I saw something the equivalent of the skin of a tortoise in my bag. My clothes were so wrinkled, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm a candidate. I don't know what to say. And so I went around the room and I said, there's no ironing board in this room. I was like, they don't iron in Iowa? What's the problem? So I started looking frantically around. I said, I cannot go around just wrinkled. My mom would just, I don't know what she would do. She'd probably come back and get me. But as I was searching, my hand hit something at the top of the closet. And I pulled it out. I said, it's not an iron. Wonder what it does. Let me plug it in. It was the most beautiful steamer I have ever had the privilege of using. And it was just, I heard angels singing. And I said, okay, let me see how this one's gonna work. Now, for me, I have a steamer, but that steamer, I end up steaming my hair and I look like, you know, Tina Turner on a bad day, or my fingers are hot and all kinds of things. This one, none of that. It was perfect, beautiful. Took me 1 minute per item to do my clothes. It was beautiful. And in my mind, I had this horror of me having to iron all of the clothes that I brought for this convention. And I tell you, it was such a beautiful thing to have that steamer. And I wish someone had told me that, you know, it's a steamer in your room, because then I would have had less anxiety. So basically, Missy and my committee is here to tell you there's a steamer in your room, okay? And that is called the PT Compact. So Jeff and Susan have already told you about how it works. Some of you know the labor pains of implementing those the legislation, and then working with your staff and your administration in getting that privilege to where it can actively be demonstrated. And we are coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the DC Compact privilege being enacted. It was November 6th, I believe. Can I get a clap? Yes, thank you. Oh, I'm telling you. And so we are looking forward to the data. We're looking forward to seeing how it impacts our licensees. But that said, what I want to go into is the now what. I call that the Finding Nemo language. So you have privileges, now what? All right, so I think I can go here. Charge of the Education and Outreach Committee. The charge of the Education and Outreach Committee is to educate and inform various audiences about the PT Compact. This includes developing resources for different stakeholders, such as boards. Yes, we need to be educated. How many here are new board members? Any new board members in here? Yes. Now, if somebody walks up to you and says, oh, can you tell me about the PT Compact? This is what I used to do. Maybe they won't see me if I stand really still. But we're here to help you. Your stakeholders are going to be your state chapters. Going through this process, you learn who your local APTA chapter is, and you learn how to work with them. I've made some really, really good friends here. Licensees, you really need to be able to reach out to them. And you have some of you, your licensees are a certain demographic. They may be military. They might be people who live in your state, or like in the District of Columbia, nobody can afford to live in your state, so they come from other states. And then also what's not on here are going to be your insurances and your third-party payers. So those people need to know about the compact. We do have the link to the PT Compact website, and I used to go to this almost weekly because I needed to see that color on that map change to show that we had privileges. And I love looking at the map. Some of you are going to join the colors on the map that mean you have privileges, and we welcome you. So I already talked about our audiences and our stakeholders, but how can we be useful to them? For example, staff of member boards receive questions from licensees, and other individuals might be interested in the compact. By developing resources to help board staff better explain the compact to customers, we can make things easier for board staff. We are also looking at creating compact articles that can be used in both state board newsletters as well as state chapter postings. Based on emails, phone calls, and interactions at professional conferences like CSM, the compact recognized that educating licensees and employers on what the compact is and how they can benefit from the compact was an important step to ensure the long-term adoption of the compact. Finally, we know that many licensees have been denied when applying to credential with an insurance company in a state in which they have compact privilege. The denial is usually due to a lack of understanding about the compact. We have drafted communications that member boards can share with insurance companies when these denials occur. So the information pathway, what types of materials do we have available to you? We have videos, and we have the long videos, which most of them are webinars, which are so informative. There's one I've watched several times that Corey Tillman Wolf did in just this year. I highly recommend it for educators. We have PDFs, we have handouts, fact sheets that are available. Now, this is the direct link to the information. So write this down for those of you who feel that you should be a resource of knowledge. This is a go-to. All right, I'm gonna bring it up again later, but I'm gonna leave it up just a little bit so you guys can get that information. All right. Next, inquiring minds want to know. So we have divided those resources on the website into 4 categories. They are the PT Compact eligibility requirements and process, the Compact privileges renewal process, and active duty military and spouse flexibility. And then we have updates and other information. So let's look into that. What are the questions that our constituents and stakeholders are going to ask? They're going to ask who's eligible for compact privileges. They're going to ask how to get a compact privilege in minutes process map. Now, I have to stop here. So I looked at this map and I said, how many minutes do they think it takes to get a compact or sign up and get your compact privileges? Anybody have an idea how many minutes? Because I'm used to working on a licensing board where we're talking about months. Minutes don't come up. Minutes are only what we take off the meetings, not how long it takes to get a license. So I looked at here, it said 10 minutes. So you know I had to try it out. So I looked at my neighboring jurisdiction and I contacted them, because it says contact them first, to see if you have to do a jurisprudence exam. Lo and behold, I was licensed there in the past, and they accepted my jurisprudence, and I didn't have to take it. But I still know the laws there, trust me, I got the practice act. Then all I had to do was go on and get the compact privilege. I was like, are you kidding me? I was sweating, I started like I was taking the MPTE again. Whoever said that yesterday, I almost passed out. Ooh, if I had to do that again, I don't know. But that's important thing to know, important thing to be able to tell your constituents. We have a step-by-step guide to using the compact privilege purchasing system. So if you are looking at states, quick way to go and find, I'm going to Alabama or I'm going to Alaska. What is going to be the compact requirement for that state? What jurisprudence requirements must be met to get a compact privilege? Please let them know that's number one. Find that out before you come back to the website. Then fees and waiver chart. Somebody in that yesterday, we don't have to pay fees to get licensed. I don't know where that is, because fishing license costs money. Every license I know of costs money. But if there's a waiver, like I had, because I had taken it in the past, that's a good thing to know. And then this thing called a home state. What is it? How do we know what that is? And how does the PT Compact define home state? Anybody in here beg to answer that question? You're like my students, nobody, okay? All right, yes, what's a home state? Do we have I know we may not be ready yet, but let's see.
Your place of permanent residence where you expect to return and where you also hold a driver's license.
Exactly. That driver's license. Where's your driver's license? Yes. I wish I had some candy or something, but I don't. All right, so very good. Home state eligibility requirements, changing home state residency. So I got a compact privilege, now I'm gonna move someplace else. What is the process? How is that gonna impact my compact privilege? Let me tell you, that's a good one to read, because I have to keep that in mind. It's not like we've been used to knowing with a regular license. But we also want to know compact privilege renewal processes, step by step. A compact is not in perpetuity. It's not like a marriage license. You have it until you say you don't want it anymore. It is something that you have to renew. So what is that process? I tell you, it's like Jeff said, it's way easier because you only have what? One thing to worry about. You're not trying to get licensed. Remember when this state has it in that state. And I can tell you, I had 3 licenses at one time, or maybe even 4. It was a lot. I almost wanted to hire somebody for that. Active duty military and spouse flexibility. Home state eligibility requirements. Those of you who have military in your jurisdiction or you're in the military, you know the home state is something that they declare. It's not necessarily where they're stationed, and what is the proof that they have to have of what their home state is to present to the compact, and what are the special needs of people who are military or military adjacent, like the spouses and family. So, updates and other info, we have an educators module. We know the need of introducing information during the education process. And please, not just at the end. They're already brain dead by year 3, you know, and we're trying to tell them something new. This should be ongoing. First of all, first year, what is the APTA? And how can you say the letters of the APTA in the correct order? Have you ever tried to tell people, new students, say FSBPT? And I always say QRS LMNOP when they say it. But you have to introduce the organizations, you have to introduce the regulatory process. Let them know the regulators in their state. And then what the education committee has done is we know that educators need learning objectives. We know that educators need things in their syllabus. What should we be telling first years, second years, third year students? So this is something that the education committee can give you. We have the primary responsibilities of compact privilege holders that we have on this site, scope of practice resources, so you don't have to go fishing around, you can look right there. Annual reports. This guy does the best reports. And you can find them. They're great to go back and when you want to know about the compact, when you're trying to justify the compact. PT Compact and telehealth. Where is the license needed for telehealth? Anybody know? Where the patient is. So it's not where you are, it's where the patient is. So in telehealth, if you are implementing telehealth, you may want to look into the compact. Also, sign up to receive updates and announcements about the PT Compact. You can be regularly updated, yay! You don't have to know everything. We have it for you. And last, before I stop, is this question. In your jurisdiction, who is responsible for educating your shareholders about the PT Compact? Now, I can tell you, I asked this question in my board meeting, and you know how I'm a neurotherapist? If you do a stimulus, you get a certain response. This is the response I got. That means that no one is doing this. So in your jurisdiction, What is your process for making sure that your stakeholders that we mentioned before are receiving information about the compact? Are you tracking how aware they are? They want to know. Are you going into the APTA meetings and making sure there's someone there that can answer compact questions? Into your educational institutions, reaching out to the employers that we all know who they are because we're gathering workforce data, hopefully, and we can reach out to them and let them know about this compact. So we are here for you. We are responsive to your ideas. So some of you may have ideas about what educational tools you'll need. Send them to Missy. No, or Jeff. But thank you again. And I just wanted to say, Anna and I, we went through that compact process together. It's like a sorority. You'll be bonded for life. All right, thank you. Thank you. Oh, any questions?
I would just add, one of the quick things we do in Ohio to promote the compact is on renewal. We add a postscript to our automated renewal message to remind people about the compact, because that's a good time to catch people who live in a border state who may want to move to a compact privilege instead of renewing their Ohio license. So, pretty easy idea. No questions. Come on. They're that fabulous, for sure. Great. Oh, Judy?
Thank you for everything that you're doing. The education piece is huge. We field calls on this daily. I think I can be an honorary member of your committee with as many times as I explain what the compact is. One of the biggest misunderstood pieces is just how integral that home state is with your compact privileges and what the responsibilities are with changing that home state and what you have to do kind of in what order. We've had a number of people in every level of panic about how to do that, how to fix it once they've done something that they shouldn't have. But that I can't stress enough about that, and then the students as well, because they come out going, well, I don't want a license anywhere, I just want compact privileges everywhere, and it's kind of like, that's not quite how it works, but, but kudos to that.
Thank you.
South Dakota is one of the new members to the compact, and we have a new licensing board, so there's a lot of new to us. And one of the discussions we just had was what to charge for a compact fee. And so what we did that everybody would do is we looked at what do all the other states charge, and then we realized there's no consistency at all. Is that something you guys talk about?
Yeah, we basically try to recommend that member boards charge something that is in line with what they would charge somebody to get licensed in the state. And also understanding that there's also the $45 commission fee that the person has to pay for. So that's, some of the states, Bernardine's being one of them, where it's the triple digits to get a compact privilege. It also costs that much to get licensed in the district, or I think Mississippi is another state that has, compact privilege fee that is, over, 150. So that's the key thing, is as long as it's in line with what you're charging to get licensed in the state, because obviously if you charge it, if it's significantly more, it's going to create a disincentive for somebody to want to get a compact privilege. But we recognize, though, that, a board is going to be losing revenue from endorsement application fees and renewal fees, and the state fee with the compact privilege is a way to make up for that potential loss of revenue. So that's why there's no consistency across the country.
That comparison to what your state is charging for like an in-state license, that doesn't include the extra $45 charge. Like if South Dakota charges $100 for an in-state renewal, then the compact would be $100, and then plus they have the 45. Okay.
Any other questions? Well, please don't forget your QR codes as well.
Jeff, I have a question.
Yes.
In Texas, we're still getting our licensees misunderstanding that they can purchase a compact privilege to Texas, and that will allow them to practice in any compact state. So is there anything that can be done in the purchase process when they declare that their home state is Texas, and then they want to purchase a compact privilege to Texas, that it will put a stop to it or something?
Well, we actually did add maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there's a big pop-up that if you choose your home state, it basically says, in most cases, you do not need to have a compact privilege in your home state. Are you sure that you want to purchase? Unfortunately, I think, and I've had, when we get those emails requesting refunds, I've had Jenny reach out to sort of try to learn what is the behavior that, they clearly have this message, and we think a lot of it is just, like I'm no different. Whenever I update my Apple iOS, I just scroll to the bottom and click the accept terms and conditions. I don't read it. I think sometimes it's just that, as I used to say when I was in Ohio, to my board, it's like licensees don't read, and unfortunately you're all licensees. But the problem is we can have all the greatest information out there. But how do you get the end user actually look at it and utilize it? But we're always looking at what can we do to get the word out, and Jenny and I have talked about, do we need to look at the wording on that pop-up to maybe be more explicit? But yeah, that's the challenge we have. And it's not just people in Texas that are having that.
Just one quick question, and I know this is not an Instafix, but I'm wondering, because we're seeing an increase of it when people are renewing, and that's the driver's license auto-populating. So when they've come into the state and gotten their driver's license, the system is designed to actually stop them then from buying that same privilege, I believe, that's my understanding. But when the driver's license information auto-populates, that's what we keep hearing. It's like, well, they had my old driver's license in there, so I just figured it was okay to buy it, even though I've had your state driver's license now for 4 months.
Which is why we do the home state audit verification. Yeah, Sherry.
I need to go through the resources that are available, but just as an idea, once you become a PT compact state, as common messaging for our email tags that, every email I send out to everyone at the bottom, does the PT Compact Commission have you're now a compact state? Do we have a tagline that we can add to all of our emails that announces we're now a PT Compact state that looks the same?
I mean, we don't, but that's something that we can look at, sharing something that member boards could utilize as part of their email signature. So I think that's a very good idea, Sherry.
Thank you.
Both messages out to home state people as well as people that are inquiring.
I have one, I'll send it to you. No. It was an experiment a long time ago. Anyway, yeah, anybody else?
Yeah.